there, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well today. So I am going to get right into things, but I did want to update you all. I have graded all current annotated bibs. There are still a couple I need to finish grading, but for the most part, I have finished grading annotated bibliographies. If you still need to get the final draft into me, just make sure to do that as soon as possible, because we are pretty much moving right along and we still got quite a little bit to do, so I need to really make sure that I keep the course moving. So what are we doing this week? So congratulations all, we are officially on week 9 out of 15, if you can believe it. The time has just flown by, hasn't it? So what we're working on this week is actually a oral presentation. So in all Comp 2 courses in New York State, there is a built-in oral speaking component. So that's what we're working on this week. Now keep in mind, oral presentations only have to be 5 to 7 minutes. I have the oral presentations and the guidelines here. So the only homework that you have this week is to begin working on your oral presentation, and it is the exact same for Thursday as well. So Thursday, I probably will not put out a video. So the only thing that you have to work on for Thursday as well is to finish up your oral presentation, because oral presentations will be due by Tuesday, March 30th by midnight. And those links will be due on Blackboard, and I will make a Dropbox actually, and you will be able to upload the link to your presentation into the Dropbox. But we'll talk about that next Tuesday, like I said. So what we're focusing on today is to go over the oral presentations and the guidelines and sort of what I'm expecting for these presentations. Now, like I said, it's really not a big deal. These oral presentations only have to be 5 to 7 minutes long. It's okay if you go a little bit over that, but yeah, I would like to go ahead and start talking about those. So far we have worked on the issue proposal and the selection of your semester project or your topic. Why your topic is researchable, debatable, and relevant, right? I mean, that's pretty much what we worked on for the issue proposal, so that should be nothing new. We also worked on the annotated bibliography, exploring different types of sources about your topic and the different stances. And we have also talked about the importance of rhetoric, such as the rhetorical situation, the 3 main appeals, and the rhetorical triangle, and the art of persuasion. And this applied very much with our oratory analysis that we did at the beginning of the semester. We thought about the main important elements of what makes a convincing argument and speech. So now it is very much your turn to apply these elements to a 5 to 7 minute oral presentation about your chosen topic for the semester. So this is the link to the guidelines here. So I'll just go over these briefly. So we have already been discussing the elements of rhetoric and speech, such as within the oratory analysis that we did when we sat down and talked about Biden's speech and talked about what made him an effective or ineffective speaker. So the last task for this oratory unit, this is the last bit of our oratory unit here for Comp 2, will be a 5-minute oral presentation. So keep in mind that on the syllabus, the oral presentation and the oratory analysis, that makes up 5% of the course as broken down on the course syllabus. So each presentation should be about 5 to 7 minutes long. Since we are in an online format, visual aids are encouraged, but an audio speaking component is required to fulfill the student learning outcomes set by the SUNY system for Comp 2 or English 1530. This is actually right on the master course syllabus, and part of the SUNY learning outcomes is to develop proficiency in oral discourse. The assessment consists of an in-class speech. So since we're online here, we have so much technology available to us. There are different means to fulfill this course requirement. So in other words, your project needs to demonstrate your ability to speak or communicate ideas with others, whether that's through a YouTube video, a podcast, maybe a PowerPoint or a Google Slides presentation. But there are plenty of ways to go about this project, and I do have examples to show you all from past class sections. But making sure that we are fulfilling these elements, these rhetorical elements that we have talked about, is basically the backbone of oratory speech. So you always want to make sure that you're being credible. Getting the audience to listen. Credibility is not always established simply by boasting your credentials or having them introduced, but having confidence, appearance, and language say more about you. Using credible sources from your annotated bibliography is also another way to be credible to your audience. So if you want to talk about the sources from your annotated bib within your oral presentations, you are perfectly welcome to do so. In fact, many of my students have done that in the past. But you also want to make sure that what you're saying within your oral presentation is relevant. Thinking about audience and purpose. And of course, you always want to think about emotional appeal, attaching a sense of community and pathos to your presentation. Appealing to your audience emotionally is important to make the presentation memorable and to get the point across. So what should be within your presentation? So presentations will be about our semester projects and the topic that you have chosen to write about over the course of the semester. So of course, one thing that you want to mention is, what is your topic? You might also want to talk about the scope of your research. What have you discovered so far? So each topic, of course, always has different sides. What have you found during the course of your research? Talk about how these sides differ on your issue. Maybe talk about the different discourse communities and groups that you have discovered during the course of your research. So tell us your thoughts about what you have found so far. Topics like abortion and marijuana legalization have a lot of research behind them, and I'd like to hear your thoughts about the scope of research you've encountered so far, especially since we already have completed the annotated bibliography. So this might be a great time to mention your thesis statement or overall argument, or at least the thesis that you think you're going to use going forward from this point. So what are some interesting things that you have found so far? Think about what we have worked on so far while writing the issue proposal and the annotated bibliography. What have you learned during the course of your research process on this topic so far? Do any particular sources or experts stand out from what you have learned so far? So since the time limit is about 5 to 7 minutes on the presentation, think of it as a verbal outline of what you have accomplished so far for the course. So moving on from that, there are different ways to go about this. So there are plenty of fun ways to tackle this project and fulfill the course requirements. I understand resources might be a little limited, but even if you're making a video from your phone, that is perfectly acceptable for this. Many phones like Androids and iPhones have cameras, and once you record the video on your phone, can even be edited through mobile apps for video editing and then turned in via YouTube. So if you have a video, I definitely do recommend just uploading it to YouTube, making sure that you share it, and then that can count as turning in the project. But here are some ideas in case you're curious and might have alternative ways if you don't want to do a video. There are, of course, different ways that you can do this. Now, students in the past have made a video, they have made a podcast, or they have even made a Google Slides presentation paired with audio recording. So there are many free programs out there for video editing, screen recording, So I have linked many of these below, many of these that I have personally recommended and even used for work. Now for Windows, I recommended Camtasia, which is a free screen recording service, and you can download a free trial. It even comes with training videos, how to use the program, that kind of thing. But another one that I really like is Movave Screen Recorder. That's a nice one as well. And you can get that for Windows or for Mac, I believe. So those are excellent ones in terms of video recording. I also have ones listed below for Mac and that kind of thing. I even have different ones that you can actually use right through your internet browser. Another one that's really nice for screen recording is called Screencast-O-Matic. And that's actually the one that I use. It's actually very nice. So all you need is actually access to Google Chrome. And I also recommend highly that one. But there are different internet browser free video editors. There's even web-based internet webcam recording. Now, even YouTube has a basic video editing platform. So if you need video editing, screen recording, and making podcasts, you can actually use YouTube. And I actually linked a tutorial right in our guidelines. So if you just want to use YouTube, that's also a simple way to go about it. Now, other students in the past have made podcasts. So making a podcast is pretty cool. So podcasts are quickly becoming a new version of radio, combining audio broadcasts and can be played through devices like phones, computers, or smart speakers. Here are some free programs. So Anchor.fm is a nice one. You can actually record and distribute your podcast right for free right from the web. So if you want to do a 5-minute podcast, that's pretty cool as well. Students really seem to like that one. But another one that students tend to like is this one, which is Sounder. It pretty much does the same thing. So you just want to make sure that you get started for free. You're able to record right online, and then you can distribute your podcast that way as well. Another free one is Podcast Bean. That pretty much offers the same type of thing. So, okay, going from there, when are presentations due and how should they be uploaded? So keep in mind that presentations are due by Tuesday, March 30th by midnight. All videos should be uploaded through YouTube, and podcasts can be hosted within their own website links using the recommended programs and links above. So presentation links will be due by midnight on Blackboard through an online Dropbox. So what if you need help with tech support? So if you ever need help with tech support or anything like that, you can always contact the SUNY Help Desk. You can also email the JCC Help Desk. Or if you have any further questions or need help with anything, you can, of course, always email me as well. But anyway, those are pretty much just the guidelines for the oral presentation. So going from there, I really would like to talk about, in terms of oratory elements, if you need a review of what makes an effective speech from our last oratory lesson, you can follow this link, and this is actually the link back to lesson 5. Now, the slides that would be particularly helpful is probably slides 6 through 9 for this one. But if you also sort of need an overall review of oratory elements, you can go right to the second slide. It talks about invention, arrangement, style, memory, and delivery. I have gone over those quite a bit in detail within that lesson. So if you need to go back into our daily lessons tab and watch that video, feel free. If you need a review of the rhetorical triangle, the rhetorical situation, that kind of thing, feel free to peruse that. So I did at least want to make sure that if you need a review of that stuff, it is there for you. So like I said, ways to make the oral presentation. Students in past 1530 online courses have chosen to make a YouTube video, a podcast, a presentation using Google Slides. So whatever you choose to fulfill the assignment, keep the guidelines in mind. Presentations only have to be 5 to 7 minutes long, though if it is a little bit longer, that's okay as well. So these are examples of past oral presentations from English 1530. And the first one I linked is actually from a past student of mine that made his podcast about marijuana reform. And his about 6 minutes long, but it's excellent. He did a couple of other YouTube videos and also a podcast on gun control that another student did. And there's also a video on here about human trafficking, what they did for that course as well. So anyway, that is it for today. I hope you all have a great day. If you have any questions, feel free to email me and get a hold of me. Thank you all and have a great day. Bye, everybody.